What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. It's Monday, so you know what time it is. Time for mock draft Monday. I did say that this would be an underdog draft. That is being pushed to next week. I was kind of thinking about what the best way is to show it to you guys and also have you be able to join it. And since a lot of the time, one, I don't really know exactly when I do recordings, and then two, once I figure that out, a lot of times it will be in like the morning or be like a weird time for you guys, so it'll be tough for all of you to be able to join. So we're gonna do a slow draft. So the day this goes up, actually, I don't even know what the actual date is, but on Monday, this will go up. That's when I'm gonna start the following week's mock draft on. It'll be a real draft on Underdog, and you guys will be able to join. I'll post the link in the Discord chat. It's gonna be a slow draft. So no matter when you have school, when you have work, you have 4 hours to make a pick. The draft moves slowly over a few days, unless everything just like rips through in one day. But you have a lot of time to make the picks. I think that's the best way to get you guys involved in it. So it's not like, oh, you keep posting them when I'm at work. I'm never able to join these. You'll be able to join them. I'll let you know during the day, but it'll be sometime at night. I don't know exactly what time. But yeah, then after I'll go through and record it. Once it's all done, I'll talk about maybe some different teams, what people did, different ADPs, where people were going, what I was doing. So I think that'll be the best way to do it instead of waiting for seeing if people can join, maybe having people leave. Like I just think it's the best way to do it. Also, I'm going to be testing out. You guys can't see, but on my other screen here, I have our rankings and projections up, and I have a new value column. I'm going to try and use that this draft to see like how well it kind of works. But the idea is you can look at different positions. So generally when you have rankings, like you might have someone ranked right next to another player at running back and wide receiver. Well, if we can look and say under this scoring format, this player is slightly more valuable, and value here is just expected points per game over a bench player. So whoever you think the next bench player up is, what is their expected points per game difference? So like right now, Christian McCaffrey is just crushing everyone in that because his projection is so high compared to a bench option at running back. So yeah, we're going to see if that works out. We're also going to do a 14-team draft here. If you're in a 10, you're in a 12-team league, realistically, like at this point of the season, ADP is going to change. These are more for the player analysis anyways, of course. But I've had a lot of people ask about 14-team leagues, so we'll do that. But yeah, if you're in a 12-team league, like you can still watch this. It doesn't really matter because we're going to see ADPs change a bunch. We're going to randomize the spot, but it's got to be somewhere towards the middle. We did a 4 recently. I don't want to do a 4. Not a 4 and not a poll because we've done 1 and 12. So basically anything else. Could you please give us not a poll and not 1? Whoa, why do they keep doing this? We'll do 8. 8 works because we did, beginning, end, we did 4. 8 works. I feel like 8's not a great spot, but we'll see what happens. I haven't really done very many 14-team leagues. Do we want to do... let's do, so I was in a 14-team league last year, and I think the best setting is 2 flex. Because your team is going to be a little weaker. There's going to be, 2 extra teams taking players. So I think it's a little bit more fun adding that second flex spot. So we got 2 running back, 2 receiver, 2 flex, and then the 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 6 bench spots. I think our league had 6 bench spots, no kicker, and the defense. We'll do everything normal. There's no positional lean in a 14-team league, although I'll say when you can get guys like the elite tight ends, elite quarterbacks, sometimes it can have a little bit more of an edge for you because if you have Travis Kelce and you're in a 14-team league, you might be going up against the tight end that's averaging like 5 points a week and they're just getting by at tight end. And when Kelce drops 25, that is a lot that they have to make up. So it can be beneficial to grab guys like that. Okay, it was also requested that I bring up the draft board more last week. I apologize for not doing that too much. I'll try to do that more often. So, draft starts off. McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler. Remember, this is full PPR, so Eckler obviously gets that big bump. He could have 100 receptions this year. Then we see Tyreek Hill and Adams go at the 6 and the 7 spot. So, high drafted players. This is what the board is looking like. If you want to go wide receiver, Diggs, Hopkins, are probably the clear two. Again, unless Julio leaves, and that's confirmed, I would say that that would not be a bad pick, honestly, if he left and that was confirmed. But until that's confirmed, you're not making that pick 8 overall, right? You need that confirmation that Julio's gone. Travis Kelce is a viable pick for the reasons I stated, but it's still a little bit early, 8th overall, so you'd just be praying that he's available in the second round. So no wide receiver, no tight end, and it's too early for quarterback, so we're left with running back. I guess there's a case to be made for Zeke or Jonathan Taylor over Derrick Henry, but it's a pretty thin case. Even in full PPR, we know that Derrick Henry is gonna run for, when we see the stats here, he's gonna have like 300 to 370 carries. Like, that's just monstrous. We know if he gets that volume, he's good. So he's probably gonna be in that like 1,600 rushing yards range. Like, it's just insane. So pop up here. So we'll just take him. I mean, there's not really too much thinking to be done there. I was curious. I wanted to pull up. Yeah. So even in full PPR for our projections, Zeke is actually right next to Derrick Henry. So that's interesting. But I just think you're just going with Derrick Henry here. Okay. Draft board again. So we see after our pick, we see Zeke goes right away. Then Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Mixon, Akers, and Najee Harris round out all the running backs. We see A.J. Brown, Diggs, Hopkins, Ridley, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen. That all makes sense going at wide receiver. So we've still got 2 wide receivers in that like top tier left. Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf. Remember, the top 8 wide receivers I think are in just like a tier of their own this season. And actually, that's not even including, because we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've had 8 go. I'm not including Michael Thomas and Keenan Allen in that top tier. I think it's Metcalf and Justin Jefferson, and then those 2 are in tier 2. We could go with another running back, but it would have to be like an incredible value. Obviously, Nick Chubb is a good option, but let's be honest, he's not giving us enough of an edge to where we would pass on Jefferson or Metcalf, or we'd pass on Travis Kelce. Like, this would need to be, who would it need to be? I mean, it would probably need to be Cam Akers or like Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Zeke. Like, one of them would probably have to be there because it's just a little bit less valuable. We can start 4 running backs, but to grab your second here, I mean, with these guys on the board, that's thin. I believe, I'll pull it up, I believe I would have sorted wrong. So if we sort by overall, we do have Kelce ahead of Metcalf, ahead of Justin Jefferson in full PPR. If we sort by value, then Kelce is technically the 4th most valuable player when you're comparing what your bench option would be, which would effectively be streaming at tight end. I think it'd be very, very sharp. Go with Kelce here. We've locked in 2 just absolute studs at these positions. If this is my draft, I'm pumped. Like, I'm absolutely pumped that I have Kelce in a 14-team league in the mid-second round. I've got Derrick Henry. Like, we're feeling really good right now. We see Kittle and Waller go. If we hadn't taken Kelce, remember our rule, we're basically waiting until the end of the draft. I want one of those top 3 or be last. That's my rule there. We see Patrick Mahomes go. We don't see another quarterback. So another interesting option we have there. At wide receiver, we see Metcalf and Jefferson go right after us. That makes sense. Then Chubb. Computers are drafting correctly. Then we see Allen Robinson, Julio Jones, Terry McLaurin, and Robert Woods. That all makes sense. And then Chubb, Swift, David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, and Gibson go. I saw something on Gibson. I'm going to try and bring in like little news things during these mock drafts. One thing I saw was that he's not like 100% recovered from the toe injury. That's like slightly concerning because it was, he's had a while to recover from that. I'm still not concerned. If we keep hearing things like that, I'll bump up his risk grade, which will bump up his injury risk because he'll be a little bit injured. Remember, risk of re-injury is more how I would say that, which will bump up his risk, which will probably bump down his ranking. But for right now, we're so far away that, I mean, he's got time. If he needed to take the next month off, like it wouldn't be that big of a deal. So I'm not reading too much into that, but definitely pay attention. Obviously, Julio, is probably going to get traded, so keep an eye out on that. I probably wouldn't be taking him in the early third just because we don't know where he's going to go. I don't think there's any real news. I mean, Michael Thomas, there are concerns that Winston won't be able to hit him on slants. And I mean, slant man needs his slants. So that's a concern with him. I'm not attacking him in the early second round. I think that's it. I don't really see any other big bits of news for anyone else. Oh, I guess Saquon. That'll be the last one. There is some concern that to start the season, he will not be getting like a full snap share. Maybe they go like 60% and they slowly ramp him up. If that ends up being the case, I mean, yeah, he's still a tier 1 running back, but he's at the back end of tier 1. But I mean, that's where he is right now anyway, so it wouldn't change much. Okay, here are our options here. We go with Clyde and we say, if Clyde is a featured running back, we have dominated the beginning of this draft. I would say probably thin. I'm probably just not taking a running back with this pick. I'll just see what's available at the next pick. I've locked in Derrick Henry. When you lock in one of the studs, a great strategy is just they're the anchor. If I'm winning this championship, I'm assuming that Derrick Henry's going off. If he's going off, I don't really care about my second running back spot, especially if I can start 4 wide receivers. So I can just forego that position for a bit, unless one becomes a really good value. But I don't think anyone's a monster value right now. So we aren't going with running back. We're obviously not going tight end. We have Kelsey. So we're basically down to wide receiver, or we take a quarterback here. For wide receiver, I think Amari Cooper is like a really, really nice option for us. I want to see if there's a tier break there. So I have Cooper as the wide receiver. Which one's mine? Okay. I have Cooper here right after 3 seconds. I was sorted by value. Yeah, so he's still in tier 3. Jefferson's gone. Michael Thomas is gone. A.J. Brown, boom, gone. So he is the only tier 3 wide receiver that I have left on the board. Chris Godwin is in tier 4. Mike Evans, tier 4. Deontay begins tier 4. So Amari Cooper would be really nice for us there. The other thing I'm thinking about is if we went with like one of Lamar, Kyler, Josh Allen, that wouldn't be a bad idea. My thing is, I don't have a huge difference between Allen, Murray, Lamar, and Dak, those 4. And then, oh my goodness, if Julio went to Seattle, Russell Wilson, man, he'd be good. He'd be real. We would be targeting him aggressively. And there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 12 picks between us and the next one. There's at least a chance that like one of these quarterbacks is still there, one of these 4. And if not, remember what we're doing with quarterback. If it's not a big deal. We wait for another value. There's always points. I don't think right now is a huge need, but if one of them is available at our next pick, that would be monstrous. So let's take Amari Cooper. Yes, I think that CeeDee Lamb is going to take a step forward. I think that there's a legitimate case to taking CeeDee Lamb ahead of Amari Cooper. But I still think Amari Cooper is just such an incredibly safe pick, such a high upside pick. Lamb being good just elevates the offense, and the offense being elevated helps the efficiency of Amari Cooper, helps the touchdown upside of Amari Cooper. I still think right now Cooper's the one, but I think it's like 1A, 1B with him and Lamb. I think they're both awesome picks. We see Lamb go in the 3rd round also, but I do have Cooper ahead of Lamb. So we only see Josh Allen go at quarterback. I expect a quarterback run very soon, and I really like the idea of just starting off with a stud at every position, because I don't see anyone standing out at any other position. So let's just do it. Let's take Kyler Murray, and we have built such an even team that for the next I don't even know, probably 5 picks, it doesn't even matter really what positions we take. Obviously, we'd like one running back, in the next 5, but we're good. I mean, we could just hammer out running backs and wide receiver. If we want to go 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs in a row, it really doesn't matter. We've secured elite production at tight end and quarterback. Let's just bust out the next 10 rounds of running backs and wide receivers. Okay. I like this start a lot. So we're not leaning either direction. Just purely based off of the value they're providing you, I have to think that, wow, just pull something up here. A quarterback didn't even go. I find that hard to believe that would happen. I think that when you're in this range, I mean, you have to think that Lamar and Dak and Wilson are coming off the board here. Maybe not, but I don't know. I think in reality they'd be coming off the board. But I guess maybe we should have waited. I don't really think. Now, if I was in my actual draft, there's no way I would have waited there. I would have taken someone. So, our options are we take Kareem Hunt, Travis Etienne. Don't like Melvin Gordon. Think Javonte Williams will take over at some point. Don't like Mostert. Think there's just too much risk there that he's not getting the workload. Don't like James Robinson. They drafted a first-round running back. They're going to use him. Don't like David Johnson. Not pumped about Fournette, but it's not a bad pick at this spot. So yeah, a lot of guys I'm not pumped about. So very interesting case they made for taking one of Hunt or Etienne. I'm almost positive that our projections have Hunt ahead of Etienne. I will confirm that. No. 203 points for Travis Etienne, 192 points for Kareem Hunt. Rankings-wise, though, I have Kareem Hunt 3 spots ahead of Etienne. I guess basically the thinking there probably with the projections is receptions, right? Like even though Kareem Hunt, we can pull up his receptions here. Even though, he's going to be in like a good range of receptions, there's definitely a chance that Etienne is used a lot more in the receiving game. He could rack up, 50, 55 receptions. And, let's be honest, like the rushing attempts for, these are even inflated. Like, let's say Chubb doesn't get injured. This could be closer to like 160, 175. And so, yeah, I definitely see how those projections work out. What are we looking for? We're looking for safety. We're looking for upside at this pick. We have Derrick Henry. Well, I guess who even has more upside? I would argue that Kareem Hunt is both safer and has more upside because if Chubb goes down, he is a 1. Despite what you saw last season, Chubb goes down, Kareem Hunt is running back 1. A scenario where Etienne is a running back 1, it just feels like they have to use James Robinson to some degree, right? And so I think there's a much clearer path to Hunt being a 1. I'm going to stick with my rankings. I think Hunt is the superior pick there. I didn't even look at wide receivers, but I think at the first glance, there was no one that was like really standing out for us. I'll pull up the draft board. Could have taken Chark, could have taken Robbie Anderson, Tyler Boyd, but I don't know. I'm taking Ayuk. Debo wasn't a bad pick in the 6th round, but I'm taking Ayuk. Will Fuller, no, we're off of him. Brandon Cooks, I don't really want anything on Houston this season. And no, I was going to say no quarterbacks go. Yeah, so Dak and Lamar still do go. I was going to say no quarterbacks went. That's absurd. Okay, so we took the running back. No one is standing out at this point at running back, so we're going to skip over that again. Or not again, I guess. Again for the previous ones, but we took them last time. For wide receiver, no one's really jumping out, but definitely a chance. Judy steps it up this season. And honestly, Judy was still incredible last year from if you look at his success rates, it was just that they couldn't get him the ball. Drew Lock is just not that good of a quarterback. Let's say Aaron Rodgers goes there. Jerry Judy is going to be a monster. But conflicting reports on what's going to happen right now, so we shouldn't be assuming anything with Rodgers going there. We should honestly be assuming that Lock is still going to be the quarterback. So, Judy, that's an option. Curtis Samuel might be a better option. I'll pull up the rankings and confirm that for you guys. But, I feel better about Curtis Samuel than I do Jerry Judy, and the rankings agree with me. Curtis Samuel begins Tier 5. Tier 5 also has DJ Chark, Deebo Samuel were off the board. Tier 5 has Juju. Juju looks like he's off the board. Odell and Claypool, who also look like they're off the board. Correct? We see Claypool go. We see Odell go. Where's Juju? Juju goes. Okay, so he's the last Tier 5 wide receiver, and he begins Tier 5, so that's a pretty good pick. Because then the next tier is guys like Devonta Smith, Jerry Judy, Jarvis Landry. So I think grabbing Curtis Samuel here. Again, you guys know I'm really high on the Washington offense this season. I think that Fitz is going to be really, really good for the upside weekly in that offense. And it's just they're going to be better than they were last season. And they were like bad last season, but it was like you could see that the play calling was clearly there. You could see that they figured it out. I think they figured out this is what we want to do on offense. We're going to be using Gibson a lot, but just using McLaurin and Samuel and Logan Thomas. Like, I just think that the targets are so condensed, and I think they finally got their head on their shoulders. Like, I think it's going to be a good year for Washington, and I want something. Like, I feel like on every team, if you have like 5 teams, maybe you don't need it on everyone, but if you have 3 teams, I feel like I want a piece of that offense on everyone. Try to get McLaurin on one, Curtis Samuel on one, Antonio Gibson on one, like maybe one you're streaming, but you start with Fitz. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I want parts of that offense on my team. But anyways, still very even. We've got Kyler at quarterback, Kelsey at tight end, Derrick Henry and Kareem Hunt at running back, Amari Cooper, Curtis Samuel, wide receiver. Full PPR league, our lean is always towards wide receivers or like really good pass catching running backs, but those are gone in like first few rounds anyways. So our lean is towards wide receiver here, unless we see a value. And I don't see a value. I still think all these guys are just, they're just okay. Obviously, like Melvin Gordon is probably the best value because no one wants to draft him because everyone thinks that Javonte Williams is going to be like the guy at some point in the season. And when you're drafting, you want to draft players who are going to peak late, right? You don't want players who are peaking early. So definite case to be made against drafting Melvin Gordon. But we're also in like the late, is it late? Oh, middle. We're at the 8th pick. We're in the 7th round of a 14-team league. I mean, who's a sure thing? You tell me Mostert or David Johnson? I mean, the Houston just got Rex Burkhead. They literally have David Johnson, Mark Ingram, Philip Lindsay, and Rex Burkhead. Like, obviously, some dudes are getting cut, but like, it's just absurd. They're just like trying to grab all the like mediocre old running backs. It's weird. But yeah, I'm not confident in David Johnson. I'm not confident in Ronald Jones. You kidding me? I couldn't be confident in either of these 2 running backs. Damian Harris, I think he's going to catch, like 10 passes this season? But these are who my eyes will be on. Melvin Gordon, Damian Harris, Zach Moss, Michael Carter, Tony Pollard, A.J. Dillon, Jamal Williams, Gus Edwards, Trey Sermon. So those are the guys that I'd be looking at there. What's the difference between all of them? I would say that Harris and Gordon and honestly Sermon are probably a tier above everyone, but everyone's super close. So can we distinguish anything at wide receiver? We don't love Corey Davis this season. For LaVisca, we would prefer Marvin Jones, so I'd prefer to wait and get him. I don't really want Marquise Brown, don't really want Michael Gallup. I like Michael Pittman a lot. Don't like T.Y. Hilton. I like Mike Williams, Darnell Mooney, Aguilar, Hardman, Mims potentially. I don't see anyone that's like standing above the rest there. So honestly, the intelligent thing is to take Melvin Gordon. And then, because I didn't see any options at wide receiver. Like, I literally don't even care who gets taken at wide receiver here. Oh, well, I'll say, besides Pittman. I wanted Pittman. Pittman goes. That's unfortunate. I didn't think it was like, gotta grab him. But yeah, I think the smart thing is to take Melvin Gordon. People are probably a little bit too off of him right now. I think Zach Moss wouldn't be a bad pick, but this late, you're probably taking your favorite between LaVisca and Marvin Jones. I haven't even checked the projections on those two, exactly what they came out to be. So let us find out together. So obviously, yeah, Chark is obviously ahead of them. Okay. Yeah, I have 166 points for LaVisca, 165 points for Marvin Jones. That's kind of why I've been saying I would prefer to just wait and get Marvin Jones later. But I feel like the ADP on Marvin Jones has been rising to where now they're going very close to each other. And of course, if they're going to go close to each other, I do still think LaVisca is more talented. I think he has more upside. And so if it's not like, oh, just wait and take Marvin, like Marvin won't be there next round anyways. So we'll take LaVisca. there are certainly reasons to be off of Laviska Shenault this season. But I feel like, so my initial take was, I've got this new regime in Jacksonville, and Marvin Jones is good. Marvin Jones will play the outside. Laviska will play more of the slot. They bring in Travis Etienne. It's like, well, that's going to take some of the role of Laviska. But there's still been reports that they think Laviska's awesome. When they were evaluating this team, they're like, wow, this kid's incredible. Chark is incredible. Like, they're still going to use him plenty. It's not like, I think we're just assuming they don't like him. But they could easily really, really like him, and they were just bringing Marvin Jones in for depth. So I still prefer if you can get Marvin Jones like a round later. If they're going right next to each other, just take the better one, and that's Laviska. Okay. So it does look like, oh my goodness. The picks back-to-back goes Zach Moss, A.J. Dillon, Michael Carter goes. So basically all the running backs that we were kind of looking to take. Josh Reynolds goes in the 8th round. That's a little bit too aggressive for my liking. T.Y. Hilton goes too early. I think we hold off on wide receiver here now because I've got some late options. I talked about them in the video on Friday. I've got some late options I like. I was looking at this team and I was like, why do I have so many wide receivers? I was like, I thought I went with other positions early. I think we can forego wide receiver because there's some options late that I like. Let's keep going with running back. James Conner technically has upside, but I still think this is Chase Edmonds' job. I think we go with Williams here. I don't buy into the talk that it's like, oh, we probably should have gone with Trey Sermon there. Whatever, I didn't look. So, would have gone with Trey Sermon in my normal league. There was that article, whatever, that came out that was like, oh, we're going to use Jamal Williams effectively as the one, and Swift is just like the pass catching back. That was likely taken out of context. Like, DeAndre Swift is still the lead back. But they bring Jamal Williams in, like, he's still going to get work. And just imagine if Swift ever went down, Jamal Williams is the only other talent on that team as far as the running backs are concerned. Well, as far as most positions are concerned, if we're being honest. And there's going to be a lot of receptions because they're going to be down a lot and they're going to be throwing. So I think Jamal Williams is like an exceptional late round pick this season, but I would have taken Trey Sermon ahead of him if I was paying more attention. Other than that, like we need to still be just like taking shots on guys. Like obviously the upside is much lower at this point, but we need to just be like completely disregarding floor. There are not very many good options. But like Latavius, obviously, if Alvin Kamara goes down, and if they're a more run-based offense, sure, they said they're going to lean on Alvin Kamara a lot, but they don't give Kamara 20 carries a game. Like, they just don't do that. So Latavius Murray's still going to have a role. So he's probably the pick here. Gus Edwards, it's a full PPR league, so it's a little bit more thin, but let's just say Dobbins goes down. I mean, Gus could have a really, really nice role, but yeah, in full PPR, it's pretty tough there. I mean, J.D. McKissic was like second or third among all running backs in receptions last season. That could still be the case this year if the reports of using Gibson more don't come true. And then Madison backing up Dalvin Cook. But I think that the clear pick there is to go with Latavius. Honestly, we might just go with Madison at this pick because I don't really see very many like great options here for us. Tevin Coleman, if you think he wins the job, but he's not going to. He's kind of done at this point. Let's pull up our team though. Let's just pull up rosters. Just kind of like go over what we kind of need to do with these last 4 bench spots. So at running back, we've got Derrick Henry, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, Jamal Williams, and Latavius Murray. I don't know why I didn't like keep track on my fingers, but that's 5. Wide receivers: Amari Cooper, Curtis Samuel, Laviska Shenault. We're gonna need more wide receivers. I would say we want 3. Let's just do it evenly. Yeah, we'll want 3 more wide receivers and 1 running back. Not the worst idea in the world to take Madison here because literally after Madison, I mean, you're taking a shot on Gainwell. You're taking a shot on Benny Snell if Najee Harris got injured. But it is quite ugly. Stevenson, you want to take a shot on him? It's gross. So I think you're taking Madison here. You're just like, all right, give me 4 upside picks on how's Madison Reach, who's the number 1 running back on the board. Yeah, you're just shooting for the moon here at wide receivers. Hopefully some of the guys we talked about are still available. I'll pull up the draft board to see if they are. So some wide receivers that have gone, where have our picks been? Around us. So Myers is off the board. That's unfortunate. Russell Gage is off the board. That's unfortunate. Can we at least get Paris Campbell? Remember the video we talked about? I think those 3 are exceptional late round picks. But I also think, I don't think Mims is bad. Oh, Paris Campbell's right there. Okay. Mims, Campbell, Gabriel Davis, Traquan Smith, Brian Edwards, Tim Patrick, Terrence Marshall, Kadarius Toney. I mean, he goes late enough where you can take a shot on that. Yeah, that's probably what we'd be looking at. But Campbell, I think Campbell's being undervalued this season. Watch the Friday video if you want a more in-depth breakdown on that. But he's very, very talented. He's been injured. And the thing was, I mean, I was reading an article from the Athletic, like, he was talking about how like he's never been injured. Like, people just like assume that like smaller, I guess he's not even that small, but smaller, fast receivers just get injured all the time. And it's like, oh, this is just a thing with him. He's like, I've been healthy like my entire life and just had these random injuries these past 2 seasons. Like, again, we don't care about risk in the 12th round of a 14-team league. If this dude can stay healthy, oh my goodness. I mean, he's gonna be awesome. He's gonna be a really, really nice weapon in this offense. So good taking him. We'll take Gabriel Davis. There's actually a case to be made for AJ Green here, although I think AJ Green is complete and utter dust. So I'm not gonna be taking him, but if you want to take him at this point, go for it. I think it's probably there's a case to be made for Traquan Smith, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Brian Edwards at this pick. If I'm drafting my league, like, St. Brown technically is the clearest path to workload, but I don't trust any receivers on that team. Traquan, if Winston's a quarterback, but I don't know, man. I think there's definitely a chance. No, let's just go with Brian Edwards. I feel like he is the clearest path to providing that upside. You guys have heard me say plenty of times that I think Edwards is a great talent. Can he stay healthy? Can he take over like the top outside role in the offense? I think the answers to those is yes. So we will take him for the upside. I like this team. I think this is a really good 14-team league. I would say that it's likely that we got our best grade for a while. I would say that it's likely wide receiver is the first thing you need to figure out. So remember, all these mock drafts, and whenever you're doing a mock draft, how do you build this to a championship team throughout the season? Because you're never going to draft a championship team right away. Well, we're set. Like, we're assuming that if Kelsey gets injured, we're probably not winning the championship unless we get really lucky. So we're assuming Kelsey goes off, Kyler Murray's going to be fantastic. So we're good there. I feel like at running back, that's probably our next strongest. Like, Derrick Henry's going to be good. Kareem Hunt's going to be valuable. We basically need to figure out what's Melvin Gordon's role, and can we rely on Jamal Williams, Latavius Murray, Alexander Madison to like fill in the rest. If the answers to any of that is yes, and then we figured out running back at this point, but maybe we need to upgrade our running back too if we want to win the championship. Wide receiver is probably our biggest need. So that would be beginning of the season. On waivers, we're aggressively looking at wide receivers. In the trade market, we're looking at wide receivers who are getting a ton of opportunity, high weight opportunity rating, and just aren't converting it into fantasy points, getting a little bit unlucky. Those are the guys we're trading for, because I feel confident starting the season with Amari Cooper, Curtis Samuel, Laviska, Campbell, Gabriel Davis, Edwards. But let's be honest, like, there's a world where Edwards, Gabriel Davis, Paris Campbell, and Laviska all bust, and Curtis Samuel underperforms, and like Amari Cooper gets hurt. Like, there's a world where that happens. Just the flip side's also true. Those guys could be really good. But I think wide receiver is the thing that we would need to figure out the most. But yeah, I think that's our clearest path there. I don't think there was. What even does this do? I don't think I've ever clicked this button before. Thank you, guys. Number 1 team. They don't like our bench, jerks. I thought our bench is pretty good. Whatever. But yeah, I think that was. I kind of want to get back to that. I shouldn't have done this. I apologize. Whatever. You know what the team was. I can pull up team roster. No, I can't. I don't even know where I am right now. Okay. Where are we? What's my team? There. I'll make it bigger for you guys again, in case you wanted to see this. But yeah, I think wide receiver was our biggest thing we need to upgrade and figure out if we've got quality options. But yeah, that is the end of Mock Draft Monday. Let me know what you guys think of the team in the comment section down below. That, my friends, is the end of this one. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, then how about hitting that like button? And how about subscribing to the channel if you're new? Thanks for watching.